Well, enjoy your cake and coffee. You have the slides on Git, so you can also, I would actually recommend that you open the slides on your computer, because the slides is basically the practical. So I'm just going to give you a few slides of introduction about who I am and what I do and where I work. And then basically the rest you can go through it almost by yourself. So I work in this place, which is the Umeå Plant Science Centers, and it's about 200 scientists from 42 different nationalities, and it's a leading center in plant physiology with a strong expertise on plant model, Arabidopsis, and non-model trees, such as spruce and poplars. And as such, it's a bit unlike most of you, which we are really in training, involved mostly in training. What I'm involved in is, it's a small bioinformatics platform. It's really only 4 of us for this center. And what we do is we do research, 50% of research, 50% of support for the different groups that are in the UPSC. And for teaching, it's actually just 2 persons. So it's me and Bastian. And of course, we have access to large computing centers. We have our own local cluster. We have processed quite a number of samples in the last 2 years. But that means that we are quite loaded with things to do. So when it comes down to training and teaching, we wanted to have a solution that was easy to deploy, easy to manage. And that's how we came up to using Docker and using AWS. So what you are going to do is basically replicate what we usually do to set up a workshop. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to set up the workshop. By the end of that, you will play the student. And then I hope then you'll have an overview of how we use AWS and Docker by then. So that's the aim of the workshop. Learning objectives, really. I hope by the end you can navigate the AWS console, but you can start, secure, stop, and terminate instances, and deploy Docker images on an AWS instance. The way it will go is I will just present the AWS console very shortly. Then you will access it, and then create, configure your instance, deploy a Docker image on it. I might make a small mistakes in calling things an image, whereas it's a container, these kind of things, so bear with me. Then you will deploy a website on this instance. You will perform an analysis, high-throughput sequencing analysis on that instance, basically just running fastQC on one of the files that are there. And then we can have some discussion, and I also want to give some information about credit grants that you can get from AWS. So my expertise in that field is we use it for our own research. We use it for teaching undergraduates. We use it also in workshops. And it's something that we started to do fairly recently. But it's something that we grew quickly confident with, and it didn't take us much time to learn it, to use Docker and AWS. And now that's the solution we have. So it's really, I found it really quick to get used to it and apply it efficiently. I made up a small website. So if you can connect to that website and then navigate it a little so that you see how we traditionally set up our environment. I hope I didn't miss anyone. If I miss anyone, just for later, use the credential of someone that is not there, basically. And I hope also can people connect to that? Do you manage to connect to that IP? Yeah? So because I have restricted it to the IP I saw I have on Delhomme, so I hope that it seems I can connect from that computer. But hopefully you can. So I've sent email before, right? So do you all have your credentials in the box email I sent to you? So with your credential, you navigate to that page, which is the direct sign link, and you put the username that was sent to you and your password. And this is what you should see once you are connected to Amazon, right? Is everyone at that stage? So what we can do now is we can go to the next step, which is setting up the instance. And this is all the standard Amazon console looks like. And at first, I found it really, really like almost confusing because there are so many things you can do. It's very impressive. But really, most of the time, what you need are the compute instances, which are these so-called EC2. And for storage, S3 is the most common way of storing data in Amazon. So these are EC2, S3 are the things that you will access frequently. If you want to deal with user, this IAM is where you can do user access management. That's how I created the user for you for the course. And another really important page is this page. That's a billing page. And that's how much I have been billed since I'm using AWS. Okay, so the first year you have the free tier when you connect for the first time, and free tier means you have access to 750 hours per month of computing power for free. You have also 5 GB of storage for free on S3 storage. So that's quite convenient. So for teaching, it's more than enough. Another reason why I haven't spent much more money is that because we also get grants for teaching from AWS, and I come back to that at the end of the presentation. So if we want to launch an instance, we go to the EC2 dashboard. So services, compute EC2. And here, basically, you see how many of your instances are running and how many different, for example, key pairs, which are your SSH key pairs. We don't have any yet. We don't have any IPs, which are static IPs in that case. They call it elastic. We have one security group. We have no running instances. So we just want to launch an instance, and we will go step by step. And you can do that by yourself following what I've put in the different slides. So what you do is don't use the review and launch, right? Always use the next button so that you every time set all the different parameters that you want to use. So on step 3, right? Is everyone at step 3? Or even further? Yeah. In step 3, I'm adding some user data. Does that look familiar? I guess. So that user data is basically a script that will be run when the instance is started. And here, you have seen it in the previous tutorial, right? We get Docker. The Ubuntu user is going to be the default user, so we add it to the Docker group, and then we just start the Docker service. So when you will connect to your instance, Docker will be installed and ready to use for the Ubuntu user. I'm not adding any storage. I could go up to 30, but I don't need it because, well, 8 is perfectly enough for what we want to do. The instance, I just give it a name. And then I define the security group. The security group are really important. That's where you want to make sure that your servers are secure. The reason is that whenever you create instances on Amazon, you are responsible for the security, right? Amazon doesn't do anything to secure your servers. So if you want to make sure that your servers are secure and that not used for, I don't know, any kind of bad behavior from other people, then you need to be really careful with this. So I'm going to create a few rules. And I'm always going to use this, the eduroam IP from here. TCP. Port 3000 is the port we will use for the web server. And for the other ports, you should use basically the port that is your ID number. So in my case, it's 50, right, on the website. For you, it's going to be between 1 and 18, I guess. And here I'm defining two ports. One is because I want to have access to an Apache server. And the other one is to access OSSH, a terminal that is accessible through your web browser, namely Gate 1.